balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic. Providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. And, Ms. T of Texas over on Rumble. She's also known as Tommy on Facebook, but don't tell anybody that. She was just talking about where she is at in Texas, and I spent 4 years in Texas, long time ago, between 1990 and 1994. You can kind of guess, maybe. I was at Fort Hood, which is now renamed to like Fort Cavazos or something. Anyway, so yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Okay. And I spent a lot of time driving in between Killeen, which is like in the middle of the armpit, nowhere center of the state, Central Texas. It's actually near Waco, Texas, where the whole Waco thing happened. In fact, I was there when that occurred, in the whole Janet Reno FBI debacle. I was there during that time. But anyway, spent some time, down there running the back roads, in between Killeen and Houston, Texas. Spent some time in Austin, hung out around, did some hunting and fishing and things like that in the Houston area, Magnolia, Tomball area. And I went back not that long ago. I mean, it was, anything between, 1994 and now. But anyway, I went back and, oh my gosh, everything had grown up. Magnolia, I think, got sucked in to all of it. It used to be a bunch of rural area, and then it's just grown so much down there. But anyway, yeah. So just memories. I can't believe that I'm older now. I'm getting older. All right, let's talk about what's coming up here for tonight. Tonight I've got a couple of things. Had an interaction on X. I know a lot of people don't like X, but every once in a while I do get a decent interaction. And I'll explain when I get to it. But also I want to talk about the FBI debacle. Speaking of FBI debacles, but the FBI debacle. And then I also want to talk about this whole thing about Trump being a Nazi because of some stupid freaking video that got put out. Anyway, I got more on all of that. But first, in honor, actually, of My News 61 on Rumble, she came in, and I swear I barely got the video put into Rumble to pull it up, to get it up there. And man, she was right there. I'm on. I'm ready. Let's go. And that was 45, 50 minutes ago. Oh, yeah, I love my Whiskey Warriors, my faithful followers. All right. So in honor of her, I am going to have her version and rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance for today. So please, if you are of mind, please stand. And if you have a hat, remove your hat. Otherwise, put your hand over your heart and join in with My News 61 and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you very much, My News. Wonderful rendition. If you want to get your rendition and you want to hear yourself saying the Pledge of Allegiance, send it in to me at the email address fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And I'll get you into the rotation order for that. And of course, the fact that I'm doing this on an almost daily basis, the only day I don't do this right now is on Sundays. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I saw Becky. Becky's our Australian contingent down in the land down under. Crikey, she's got some prawns on the barbie. But anyway, down in Facebook land, Becky is like, I'm not even out of bed yet. I'm international. Anyway, so yeah, that is fantastic. Thank you very much for that rendition, my news, and I do appreciate that. So please, if you are of mine, get your, record yourself saying the Pledge of Allegiance, send that audio file to me, and I'll get you in the order. All right. So tonight, of course, is I almost got out of order here. Is Whiskey Wednesday. It's like Taco Tuesday, but for badasses. And tonight I am working on finishing off my bottle of Four Roses. It's too bad Bonnie's not here yet. But I'm finishing off my bottle of Four Roses here. I'm going to have to go and get another one. I took a stock of my whiskey list and there's like two Irish whiskeys that I haven't even opened yet. One of them I got as a Christmas present. So I got to get some drinking going on here. But anyway, no, Mark, I haven't quit Facebook. It's there. It's there, Mark. If you want to switch over from Rumble over to Facebook, it's there. I'm seeing it. My apologies. Spam call. Hate those things. All right. And so tonight I'm also drinking that out of the True Grit Roots Network because this is Wednesday. True Grit Roots Network tumbler. Got my little rocks, little stones there underneath my finger. Ah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right. And because of the, where is it? Where'd my cursor go? Dang it. And let's put in BS. Okay, there we go. How's that? Is that better? Hopefully that's better. Okay, so that's got the audio. Anything? Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you guys can hear me. Okay, you got me. So the sound is back, but so let me just try something here. Let me see. Was this one? Yeah, we'll do this, and we'll see if I add this back in, see if that comes back. And it doesn't. Okay. So obviously it's a problem. Yeah, I have no captions only because, let's see if I can get this. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can get the captions. Hang on. Yeah, the joys of the joys of. Where's the sound? Sound. Where is my sound? See, this is part of the reason why when you don't have a actual producer, this stuff kind of happens. So, okay, that's not it. Let's see. NS. Banner, background, cool. Hot, medium, VLC, too hot. Spotify. Constitution. Dash. Mail call, calendar. Celebrity. Let's see if it's maybe up here. It was called. What's it called? It's nested scene closed caption. How did that happen? Let's see. Nested scene. Here it is. There we go. Okay, so this guy. All right, so there's the captions now. All right, we should be good now, I think. Is that brought the captions back. Okay. I don't know what the heck happened, but apparently my internal card or internal system is no longer recognizing where my mixer comes in, so I had to quick change things. Anyway, hopefully that's not going to screw anything up. I think it will, though. I think it will screw things up. So if I switch screens, which I probably will here in just a minute, but if I switch screens, it might die. The audio might die. So I'll have to. Let's just fix that right now. Let's just fix. All right, that way, there we go. That should do that, and those are my main two screens. Let me go to one more other. All right, that should do it. That should take care of my main screens. All right, well, we're supposed to be on this screen anyway. Okay, so, yeah, so it's been... There we go. All right, got things back to the order. So the audio is taken care of for now, at least until I can figure out what the heck happened with my actual card. Okay, hopefully that takes care of it. Okay, we're back online. We're ready and set to go. Sorry about that, everybody. Just to try and keep that. Okay, so let's. I'll just forego the TGRN thing for now. Let's go ahead and jump into the main things that's going on. Please don't tell me there's no back to no volume. Are we good or no? Come on, give me a thumbs up, give me a yes, give me something. Let me know. Are we all good? Are we all good? Please, somebody tell me video's good. Okay, so I got Tommy saying I hear you here. Let's make sure Rumble looks okay. Rumble looks okay. We got people. We're good. All right. Thank God. All right, we're done. Okay, so now, thank you for that. I do appreciate it. All right, we're all set. Wow, live broadcasting, isn't that wonderful? I bet, I wonder what the guys who actually do this for like their entire 100% living, Anyway, oh, just think I have a I have a video producing company too that owns this program. So one man band. Okay, so all right, so we're good. All right, so let me get back into the thing here. So let's just talk about this. First up is about the whole Hitler thing. Now, of course, the left has been trying to make Trump out to be Hitler. Okay. And so the minute that they freaking, the minute that they can grab onto something, it doesn't even matter, really. But the minute that they can grab onto something, it's like they just don't use their heads to sort of figure out what is going on. Like they don't bother to like take a second, take a breather, apply the Dan Bongino rule. Not that they would necessarily need to call it the Dan Bongino rule. All right. But they essentially, they have no freaking idea how to think critically and to check themselves before they jump in both feet into some sort of a, holy crap kind of moment to say, what the hell is going on here? And so, I don't know. It's just one of those things that just doesn't seem to make sense. But what they did, and hopefully I don't lose, yeah, there we go. I don't lose audio. So what they did is Trump put out a video. And you can see the idea of it was to present, to essentially present old time stories throughout history. And then, of course, to put him in it and kind of say, well, what's next for America? You can see that right here in the, in the screen grab that I got going on behind me. Well, Biden and the left jumped on this thing. I mean, the minute it came out, they jumped on it. And why did they jump on it? Well, they jumped on it because there is a small part, a small piece, where it has the words Central Reich. Okay? Or, sorry, Unified Reich. The creation of a unified Reich. That is the statement that shows up. You really have to look to see it. When you see it here, I'll play the ad. Let me just go ahead and play the ad for you.
What happens after Donald Trump wins? What's next for America? The economy booms. American energy is unleashed and an end to crushing taxes. The border is closed and the largest deportation in history is underway. No more wars as we focus on home. Law and order is restored. The American dream is back and the best is yet to come. Make America great again.
Okay, so here's the thing. When you go and take a look at, and especially at the it shows up in toward the beginning and toward the end. Let's see if I can get this to, yeah. It's right underneath the what's next. There's like this little spot where it talks about a unified Reich. Now, the thing about it is that the actual headline or the actual paper where this image was grabbed is in World War I, not even World War II. So Hitler hadn't even come to power yet, if you were, intelligent enough to understand history. So that's the first thing. All right. The second thing is that this particular background video that whoever made this thing, which I don't even think it was the Trump team. In fact, I think they claim that it isn't even theirs. It was somebody else that created it, and then they just handed it over to them, and then they just ran it. But here's the thing: is this video is actually available on the internet for anyone to go and buy. Like, it's not stock footage necessarily. I mean, it is stock footage technically, but it's not like something that is, oh, we created it ourselves. But the first thing that they do is the left doesn't bother to like look into the details and say, hey, you guys kind of screwed up here. You might want to think about it. And yeah, it just, they went nuts. Now, this article and what I'm showing you comes from the Right Scoop, which of course a leftist is not going to say it, or not even going to look at it. But the placeholder text that was in there is the creation of a unified Reich. And so which also appeared at the end of the video. As well, under the slogan MAGA. And of course the left, being sycophantically idiots, immediately go, he's Hitler, he's praising Hitler, he's doing all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. Well, in a flash of brilliance, and by brilliance I mean a very dim bulb of light, even Mediaite, which is like as far left of left that you could possibly get in any kind of a mainstream media. And I don't even know why I'm calling them mainstream, because they're not. But they're left of left in the outlet world. They're almost as bad as Politico, Bullshitico, as Dan Bongino calls them. But here they even say, while the ad caused an uproar on social media, with President Joe Biden's campaign accusing Trump of echoing Nazi Germany, the controversial text appeared to be leftover placeholder text from a video editing template for Adobe After Effects. It comes from, at least according to Mediaite, that it comes from a template called Newspaper Vintage History Headlines, which is available as a download as part of a subscription service online, and includes the same placeholder text about World War I, which was spotted in the ad. And while many are aware that the term of Reich in the context of the Nazi Third Reich, the term was also used by the German Empire, or what's called the Second Reich, from 1871 until the end of World War I in 1918. And you can see in the picture here, here, let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit so you guys can really see it. So if you look right in the middle here, you can see where it says creation of a unified Reich. Yeah. So the left, I saw this on all the socials, all over the place on the socials. And so, by the way, I also found it. Here's the template that you can download. There it is. It says the war is over, history on newspaper. And it was right there under the history on newspaper that you can purchase. And I could take this and like turn it into some sort of a background if I wanted. I could actually play this video behind me on the background. I have the capability. I have the technology. We can make it happen. But the thing about it is that, again, the left freaking just jumps all over this kind of crap. And they do it without thinking, because of the fact that if they did actually rub two brain cells together, they would have gone, well, okay, wait a minute. This guy really doesn't, does he really think? Again, even I question when the left does something extremely freaking stupid. Even I question whether or not it's an actual problem. Like, for an example, the FBI. Now, the Eileen Cannon, Judge Cannon, which of course the left is all pissed off about too, because she's actually doing her effing job in being an impartial jurist and trying to get to the bottom of what clearly appears to be a railroad attempt by the DOJ in order to try and get Trump out of the race for president. And she's doing essentially single-handedly tearing apart Jack Smith and his incompetent malfeasance that he's been running in this documents case. So what she did is just the other day, she again detracted some redactions. That's it. So she cleared up some of the redactions on some more documents, and she released them. One of those documents shows that as a part of the warrant to search Mar-a-Lago, which we discussed and I told you was a very generic warrant. It never specified anything specifically what they were looking for. It was very, very general, which general warrants are not constitutional anyway, which I'm kind of surprised that the defense hasn't motioned on some of that yet, although I'm sure that's getting up or coming up. But the thing about it is that warrant mentions the fact that the FBI had authorization to use deadly force if necessary. Now, a lot of people on the right jumped on it and were like, "Oh my gosh, deadly force! Oh hell, they wanted to like murder Trump." Well, let's take a step back, folks. First of all, chances are it was some sort of a template, okay? And not that I'm trying to come up with any kind of excuses for these people. But the thing about it is that, yeah, it very well could have been a template. It very well could have been something that's missed. However, the right claiming that is, unconscionable and shouldn't have ever been a part of that warrant, they are correct. And the left is sitting there trying to defend, saying that, yes, it's just a template, so on and so forth. It's standard operating procedure is what they say. Well, wait, this is the first time that a president's home has ever been served with a warrant, has ever been searched, has ever been, had the FBI come and tear the house apart looking for shit. And you're sitting here telling me that this is standard operating procedure. It's unprecedented. It's never been done before. And here it is you guys have come in and created this optics and narrative, okay, about this. And the thing about it is that, look, I don't care if it is SOP. That was a very specific and very, and I've said this on the socials. It's like, look, this is unprecedented. Never been done before. There was Secret Service on the site. Okay, there's Secret Service on the site. There's no way. And Dan Bongino, oh my gosh, he just went off today in his podcast. If you get a chance to go take a look, you should. But the thing about it is that this is unprecedented. The FBI itself should have let the Secret Service know. The Secret Service, actually, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't invoke USC 18, Section 1752, which essentially talks about how they are supposed to secure buildings, and they actually control. If you go into the White House, now I've never been, Okay, I've only seen movies. I've only seen news footage. But if they go and go, if you try to go in there as a police officer when you're normally supposed to carry a weapon, the Secret Service goes ahead and tells you, no, you can't walk in with your pistol. You can't walk in with your, whatever kind of arms that you might have, because of the fact that the only arms that the Secret Service are ever going to want in a protectee's space is going to be theirs. And that's just a matter of safety. You don't want to go and get shot, even if you're attempting to defend somebody or defend the president, for God's sake, yourself. If you ever go and, go there and that kind of thing, they don't want to have some unknown person walking around with a weapon. So they are going to go and they're going to take their opportunity to go and just remove them. So I just can't imagine how much of a debacle this actually is. Doesn't matter whether it was SOP or not. Whoever wrote up that freaking warrant should have taken that part out. Now, again, do I really think the FBI was going down there in order to try and instigate a gun battle or whatever and, hopefully, in their minds, hopefully cause an incident? No. But at the same time, when you have a couple of your own agents who are trying to tell you, hey, this is not right, you guys shouldn't be doing this, and they get told to just shut up and follow orders, that's a bit of a problem. That's like, a red flag. Literally. A red flag. So, honestly, it just brings it back down to the fact that, here we are, once again, looking at a suspicious coincidence. And I really don't believe in coincidences. Somebody knows what happened. And, of course, just like the baggie that the Secret Service found, I doubt we will ever find out who is responsible. Or the person who actually leaked the Dobbs decision. I doubt anybody will find out who the hell did that, as far as that goes. All right. No, they've actually, so anyway, I'm sorry, I'm watching the chat. They're kind of going off their own stuff. So anyway, let me answer a question really quick here. So Picaric, there is, let's just go ahead and do it. So for those of you who are a fan of the show and want to show off your fandom, head on over to store.americanperspective.online. Gee, I'm not very unique with any of this stuff, because if you recall, being the older Whiskey Musings, it is store.whiskeymusings.online. Gee, I'm not very creative. So this one is store.americanperspective.online. But what is different is the fact that this particular store, it's a brand new merchandiser that I have, and it essentially will take you to that page. And believe me, the reason why I went to a new distributor is because of the fact that now I am involved in the steps. I have much more control. I can see when the order is placed. I can see when the order gets shipped. I can give you the tracking numbers and so on and so forth to get the information to you if something goes wrong. I can be a lot more active in it. Before, with the other store, I was way too hands-off, and so I said, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Even though it's nice to be hands-off in some cases, having to deal with a couple of things that did occur with my old store, it definitely is something that I didn't want to have do more of. So if you go to store.americanperspective.online, you can check out what I have. I've got some sweatshirts, t-shirts, crew neck or hoodies, I should say, and then a couple of other things. So you can go and check that out. And I also have links on that same page that go to the Constitution page and that kind of stuff. So Anyway, so there we go. So that answers that question for that. And that was my another ad spot, which is cool. Got it all done in one. All right. So I want to get serious here for a second. I mean, not that the other two topics weren't serious, but this was a conversation, and by conversation, I mean a back and forth with somebody on X. And sadly, it ended because the person was like, well, you're obviously not going to listen to me, and I'm not going to listen to you, so we're done. Even though that happened, every once in a while, you do run across somebody who has at least a part of a brain in some of the socials. Now, I'll admit, especially on X, because I seem to be flooded and inundated with leftist morons all the time, probably because I'm responding to their posts and the algorithm is just thinking that I like that, even though I don't. But anyway, this one individual came in, and I had made a comment on the post with regards to, because, I mean, they do this all the time. The leftist talks about, especially women. They keep talking about women, pay attention. It's about abortion. It's about birth control. It's about, controlling your bodies or whatever, all that kind of stuff. And I respond back typically with something along the lines of, well, the Dobbs decision confirmed that abortion is not a constitutionally mandated responsibility of the federal government. And in this particular one, I added that contraception isn't either. And then, of course, I typically follow that with the fact that the 10th Amendment applies here. Okay? The response that I got back was kind of interesting. Just to sort of give you a synopsis, the person basically said that, first of all, that the state should not be involved in personal medical choices, which I kind of agree. Government really shouldn't be involved in personal lives anyway, period. But then this self-proclaimed mom, compassionate American, who is looking for our lost collective soul, and this is the part that kind of is like, she kind of just ducked out because she wasn't going to freaking do that. But anyway, she goes on and she talks about the Constitution itself. And she says, if our Constitution does not protect our freedoms, it is a terrible Constitution. Well, I didn't necessarily take offense at that, but it did bring up and make me think for a second. And I responded back and I basically said, it does protect our freedoms when it's followed. And then I followed that up with, it doesn't need to be rewritten. It needs to be reread and strictly implemented. And she responded back with, you just said the 10th Amendment leaves everything not explicitly stated to the states, which is true. I mean, it does. It also says to the people as well, not just the states, but that's okay. But she followed that up with, the states can decide to curtail your freedoms and often do. And I went back and I said, well, except in order to join the Union, they all agreed that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. This is why gun control laws can be challenged and overturned, as an example. And then I said, it isn't perfect, but it's what we have. She comes back with, that's nice, doesn't negate what I said, which is a Constitution that imperils our rights because states can remove them is a terrible document. Okay, she missed what I said. The states can't remove what's in the Constitution. That's the whole point. They can't. And that's what I responded with. And I said, if they do, it's because we, as the people, let them. And I said, and we're in a place where we have let them due to complacency. And this is the key point and the whole crux of what I'm about to tell you here in just a little bit. But she goes back and forth. We kind of went back and forth a little bit more. And she talks about how again, when the document, meaning the Constitution, does not protect our rights as it needs to. And I responded back and said, a document is only as strong as the people willing to enforce it and adhere to it. Otherwise, it's just a piece of parchment with words scrawled on it. And then I responded and said, you keep looking at the document to save you, but it's you who does the saving using the document as the guide. Folks, I'm not very prophetic on a lot of things. I mean, I consider myself a reasonably intelligent person. But I hit on something with saying that very, very succinctly. This book, this document, right here, is not worth the paper that it's written on. The actual parchment paper that is really, really, written on in our Capitol underneath glass, bulletproof glass that we protect every day, where it has if you ever watch the what was it, National Treasure, where they stole the Declaration of Independence. That was a Nicolas Cage flick. But anyway, the point that I'm making is the paper. This right here, the words on this paper. These words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. That's the Declaration of Independence. Those words mean nothing. Zero, zip, zilch, if there's nobody willing to stand up and enforce those principles. Folks, it's no different than a law. You can have a law. In fact, the Bible says, thou shalt not murder. And if nobody is going to follow that law, it's worth nothing. Except maybe the paper it's written on. Our money, which has a value of 1 or 5 or 10 or 20 or 100, a face value. The only difference in all of those denominations of money is the printing on the outside and what it says. The cotton underneath, the cotton linen paper that's underneath is the exact same across the board. Well, with maybe a few differences, but still, the value of it is not in what is said. The value of it is not in what the words say. It's not in the paper. It's not in the book. It's not in, the value is not in here. The value is in here. The value is within the American people. The value is within the patriots who are willing and have spilled their blood across the entire world in defense of the principles that are enumerated in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. It's the people that make the difference. If we as a country, as a whole, in a society, decide that these words in this document mean jack shit, and we throw it away, nothing changes. All it is paper. All it is ink. It's not even really paper. I mean, it's actually, I think it's like it's like some sort of cotton linen or whatever. I don't even think it's but the thing about it is that those words, those principles, those values are what we as a nation and we as a people have to take into our hearts and be willing to stand up and fight for those principles and those values and those words on the paper. We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and promote the general welfare, and ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. That's the preamble to the Constitution. That preamble tells you everything you need to know. That preamble tells you everything you need to know. It starts with we, the people. If we don't have enough people to stand up and make ourselves known, our rights are endowed by our Creator, but they are enforced by the people. The people make the difference. It's you, it's me. It's all of our family members, our friends, strangers that we meet on the street. These are the people of America. If we lose sight of what is our values, if we lose sight of what is part of our heritage, if we lose sight of the principles that this country is founded on, this country is completely lost. This is why 2024, this November, is so important. You know, I've talked on this program a multitude of times about the whole idea of the separation of church and state, okay? And that, again, that's a principle. That is an idea. That is something that is ingrained as a part of this country. And this country needs to get back to that. But unfortunately, we are losing it. And we're losing it because of complacency, because of us allowing it to happen. We've allowed it to happen. We've allowed our schools to get completely covered by DEI policies, CRT policies. It's just now that we're waking up, as a society as a whole is starting to wake up and realize, oh shit, we're almost at the end of what would be considered a fantastic run for an empire. But I'm telling you, we have to invest in the future of America, and that is our children. That is our offspring. That is their friends. That is their, all of those folks. We have to get vocal, because the left is just as vocal or even more vocal than we are now. They're definitely more vocal than we are now. But we need to stand up and fight. Not physically. Not yet. But we need to stand up and fight by taking back our institutions that we've allowed to slip through our fingers, by taking back our heritage that we've allowed to get torn down, by taking back our documents and proving to Americans that, again, these documents, this document, the Constitution of the United States, is a foundational document that explains the esoteric principles and values that we ingrain in our Americans. This is part of the reason why I have change the program. This is why I come to you in American flag gear. This is why I come to you and try to speak directly to you, to open up people's eyes, not necessarily my whiskey warriors. I know y'all got my back. Okay? But this is why we need people, all people. We need to get a hold of those middle of the roads, the ones that are not quite awake yet, and we need to shake them, and we need to make them realize, hey, you're going to lose what freedoms you have if you allow this left side to do what they're doing. It's why I get on X. It's why I kind of bug people on X. My wife is like, why did she... Mrs. Whiskey and I were talking about the interaction that I had with an Xer who was just a freaking moron. And I kept going back and forth. She's like, why do you stress yourself out? And I was like, stress myself out? What are you talking about? She goes, well, you're talking to stupid people who obviously are never going to hear your side. And I told her simply, it's not that person that I'm talking to. The person that I'm talking to is not the true believers, the ones that are agreeing with me, that stand with me. I talk to them, yes. I talk to you guys as my whiskey warriors. I do talk to you guys, but that's not the goal. You guys already understand what I'm telling you. What I am trying to do is to get that 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 people that are out there in what is essentially no man's land and try to show them the logic, the reason, the facts, the evidence, the truth of where they need to be and how good America actually is and how we can get her back to where she needs to be to make America great again. But I can't do it alone. We all can't do it alone. But I'm going to be the first person standing up, dancing. Like in that Dan Bongino video. There's one guy that stands up and dances. Everybody else is making fun of him. But then sooner or later, 2, 3, 4, 10, 15, and then just about everybody else in the whole place is starting to dance. And that's what we need. And we're starting to see it right now. We are starting to see it right now with the number of black Americans. And I know a lot of people who sit there and like, they think, oh, you know, Trump's never going to gain all of black America. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need all. He needs to start the waterfall. It's like a crack in the dam. It starts off with a little drip, and then it becomes a little stream. And then next thing you know, it's a wider stream and a bigger stream. And then all of a sudden, it's like these really big problem. And next thing you know, boom, the whole thing comes down. The whole dam comes down because of the pressure of the water behind it. We need to be that pressure. We need to be that water. We need to be the voice that America is missing. Rush Limbaugh was the leader of that voice, and we still have some other leaders out there, and I'm willing to join them. I want to be a part of them. I want to help in any way that I can to get this country back on track. And if this program is the only way that I can do it, then so be it. But we're going to get there. I'm going to teach. I'm going to train. That's why I partner with the Institute on the Constitution. We have got to start being loud and proud. Believe me, I am one of those people. I'm really not an outgoing person. You talk to my wife and my daughter and my son, they all think I'm a freaking recluse, okay? In fact, they can't even believe that I do this program. But I do it because I have no other choice. I can't stand back and watch this country fall. I cannot stand back and watch this country fail. I'm not going to. And by you guys coming and joining me every night, you're helping me, you're encouraging me to keep it going, to keep things going. And eventually we should gain enough people, hopefully before November, that we can start getting this country back. All right. Whew. Wow. I knew that was going to be a bit of a long one. I'm sorry about that. That's the passion in me, I guess. But anyway. All right. I've got a couple other things here, a few other things that's going on. But first, let me go ahead and tell you about these wonderful shirts. I mentioned that I'm wearing one, okay? This is just one of many patriotic shirts that you can get at theflagshirt.com. That is theflagshirt, all lowercase, all one word, .com. And you can get these wonderful shirts. I am wearing all of the cotton polos, okay? They're just absolutely, to me, they're very comfortable. They're true to size. They're just great. Great fit, great colors. You've seen them all on the broadcast. I wear them all the time, but I'm partial to those. But you can also get like performance ones too for the men. You can get, there's women's shirts. There's some beautiful patriotic women's shirts. Let me tell you, I would love to outfit Mrs. Whiskey in one of them. Anyway, but go to theflagshirt.com, theflagshirt.com, and you can pick one of those up. They have their Memorial Day sale that's going on right now. I think the code is, or the promo code that they have is MEM15. That's MEM15. And you can enter that at checkout and get $15 off your order of $75 or more. Or what you can do, if you don't want to order $75 worth of gear, you can go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online and get a code for $5 off any order. Okay, so go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online and get $5 off. You'll get a code that you can go and enter in their promo code at checkout, and you'll get $5 off your order if you don't want to take on the Memorial Day sale that they've got going on. Once again, that's at theflagshirt.com. Go and get yourself patriotized. All right. So, do you remember how I was telling you a while ago, we were talking about Israel and how Joe Biden was kind of hanging back and telling Israel, no, don't go into, don't go into Rafah. You got to keep Hamas, and you've also heard Biden discussing on multiple occasions that Bibi Netanyahu needs to go. Okay, we need to get rid of him, that kind of thing. He's not good for Israel, all of that stuff. Well, this article came out, and I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised that it even showed up. But here in hot air, Biden was apparently plotting with Iran against Israel. What? Biden was plotting with a known enemy country? What? Anyway, this is a report from the Middle East Eye that the U.S. was actually communicating secretly with Iran, discussing, among other things, their shared desire for a different government in Israel. So, according to this article, the U.S. and Iran were actually discussing changing Israel's government. Biden thinks that the U.S. shares an interest in regarding Israel. Now, okay, let's put this with the idea that Biden has given Iran $6 billion. He has allowed the oil embargoes that Trump had on Iran to, let's say, lapse. Okay? He's not enforcing them. That's what it is. Okay? And now we see this. He's already been, Biden's already been like vocal about the fact that he doesn't want Israel to win over Hamas, which, I mean, let's be honest, Iran doesn't want Hamas to get, squished. And so they've been going on and on about all of this. He's talked about how Israel needs to pull back and hold back and all this other stuff. And yet here we have this. And apparently the talks, supposedly, at least according to the source, have been put on hold since the helicopter crash that killed both Iran's president and its foreign minister. Now, a little bit on that, by the way. There is a potential. Most people think about this helicopter crash and they think, probably Mossad. That's like the first thing that most everybody jumps on, is probably Mossad. There's a possibility, because of the infighting that's happening right now, reportedly, in Iran's government as to who's going to be the next president. Not like it really matters. The mullahs actually run everything over there. But there's a lot of infighting going on, and so there is some suggestion that the crash was potentially could have been an inside job. It could also, because it's just fog, it also could have been just pilot error. I mean, again, we're probably never going to know. This is going to be one of those things that we'll probably never know about. Could be poor maintenance, according to what 3 Chevy just posted. I love 3 Chevy. 3 Chevy just posted most likely poor maintenance. But still, the point being is we'll probably never know the real reason. But yeah. And as Jarhead13 on Rumble points out, there were a lot of celebrations inside Iran when the crash was announced. You people don't understand. This guy who died was called the Butcher of Tehran. Okay? He freaking killed people, a lot of people, in order to get where he was. And yet our own State Department was like issuing statements saying, hey, we're sorry, you guys, you lost a really good guy there. Not really, but you lost a guy. We feel sorry for you. No, you should have been saying, you know what? He was a freaking asshole and he got dropped in a helicopter. Good riddance. Hopefully he got his 72 celestial virgins or whatever it is that he's supposed to get. But anyway, it could have been a whole bunch of other things. I don't know. But anyway. Whatever. So yeah, but it would not surprise me at all if this thing was actually true, that Biden was actually plotting behind closed doors. So, okay. So speaking of Biden and his family, Biden and Hunter. Oh yes, Hunter is back in the news now. Apparently he got one of his trials. I think it's the gun charge. He got one of his trials moved from June to September. Now, I wonder why he'd be doing that. Well, it could have something to do with the elections. I know he didn't want it to happen in June, but now he's like, I guess they're kind of hoping that maybe if they push it to September, it can get sort of started under the radar and then get hidden by all of the elections, all the elections hubbubs. And he'll just kind of slide through and just sort of like walk off into the distance with nothing on him. Which somebody on the socials really was a dumbass and said, if Hunter Biden's name was Trump, he wouldn't be being attacked. And I just was kind of like, yeah, like Biden's not, the post, now I remember the exact phrasing. So the post was talking about if it wasn't Hunter Biden, or if Biden wasn't running the DOJ, then Hunter Biden wouldn't be getting processed. And I'm like, no, actually he's being like handled with kid gloves here. That was the one thing that they couldn't freaking cover up. But anyway, so the House GOP just announced, or at least the House Ways and Means Committee Chairman, Jason Smith, has now said that he has uncovered the fact that Hunter Biden, and this is, according to him, indisputable evidence that Hunter Biden lied under oath. Technically, according to the article, 3 times. So the 3 times that he's being called out on, and just so you understand, there was some documents that were protected under IRS code 6103, which is a portion of the tax code that allows to keep certain information confidential. And there was a committee that discussed it today, and the panel voted today to release that information. Well, that information now comes out, and there's 3 points that, let me just make sure. Yeah, that Jason Smith is saying, 3 points that Jason Smith is saying he lied about. Point number 1 is that he claims that or the committee claims that Hunter Biden mischaracterized his role in working for the firm Rosemont Seneca. Now, for those of you that don't remember, Rosemont Seneca Partners was the one that he did in joint venture with CEFC, which was run by the CCP, and I know those are a lot of acronyms, and the guy, Zhao, I can't remember his name, Henry Zhao, that's it. But anyway, he mischaracterized his role working for it, and he actually controlled bank accounts. Instead of what Hunter Biden's saying, that he claimed in his disposition that he did not. He did not have any control over bank accounts. Well, now supposedly he did at Rosemont Seneca. Committee also said that Hunter Biden claimed that he did not help any foreign nationals obtain visas. But the committee says that some of the emails between himself and his former associate Devin Archer show that he actually did help a man by the name of Miguel Alerman, Alerman, with some visa documents, even though he said he didn't help them. The committee also pointed out to the fact that Hunter Biden testified that he sent a text to the wrong Zhao because he was under the influence of drugs or whatever. But the WhatsApp records that they've apparently able to get a hold of now show that Hunter Biden only spoke with one singular Zhao, and that's the Henry Zhao of the CEFC. Oh gosh. And do you know there's still people on the left that don't believe that these guys did anything? That all of this shit doesn't matter to them? Do you believe that? All of this mounds of evidence, bank account records, tracking of checks, signed checks, unexplained amounts being paid back and forth. Yeah. Every single one of them. Yeah. Just can't quite understand. Well, there's a reason, by the way, why the there's a reason why the House committee, the Oversight Committee, wants the her tapes. There's a reason for it. And the reason is pretty simple. They are questioning whether or not the transcript actually follows the true conversation with Robert Hur. They want to know whether or not the transcript is true and correct. And so this is part of the reason why they are trying to get that transcript. You might ask, how in the hell do you make that connection? Well, here's how. So this weekend, I showed you the speech. I had a couple of reactions last night of the speech, of Biden's NAACP speech and the Black College speech and so on and so forth. Well, When the White House kicked out the speech transcript, they apparently issued a corrected transcript, and they made 9 total corrections. 9 corrections to Biden's speech transcript. If the White House is making corrections to his speech transcript, which was publicly televised and easily figured out, I mean, people were able to like grab that grab the video and then look at the transcript and see the differences and so on and so forth. What makes you think that the White House wouldn't change the written transcript of her questioning in order to make sure that Biden doesn't come off as being worse than what he actually is? I think this is part of the reason why they're issuing executive privilege on that audio, because they don't want that audio to come forward, because it'll show the fact that Joe Biden is oatmeal brains. You know, one thing that they did with FDR, even though FDR was cognizant, but one of the things that they did with the FDR when television started coming out is the first times that he appeared on television, they put him behind a desk so nobody could see his wheelchair, because there was the idea that the wheelchair was going to unfairly slant the American people's opinion of him. So they didn't want him to be seen in the wheelchair on television. That's why there's very few photographs and definitely no video of FDR in his wheelchair when he was toward the end of his like 4th term or whatever it was. But anyway, so again, that's just an example of why we need to hear that audio from Biden. And I'm hoping that, you know, the news media outlets, which, by the way, like I had already mentioned on this program before, there were a bunch of people, okay? There were a bunch of people in the mainstream media world that are saying the same thing. We need that audio. And they all jumped on the FOIA request that I think it was the Heritage Foundation that started it. And they all jumped onto it. So hopefully we'll get a chance to hear it sometime in the next couple of months. We'll see. Maybe they'll try to hang on to it until after the debates. Because the debates are either going to go one or two ways. Either Biden's going to go up and just crash and burn miserably, or he's going to stand there and look like he did in the one video where his eyes are like really wide open and he's talking really, really fast and high as a kite. Or just, sorry, the White House said he was high on his excitement and his accomplishments with his eyes really wide open. For those of you on the audio program, I'm trying very hard to make my eyes really, really wide. It's kind of like Biden when he was giving that speech. Just staring into the camera, eyes wide. Oh, that hurts. Sorry, a little comic relief. Anyway, all right. Speaking of comic relief, the other thing that's been running around on the socials that I've been jumping on, not that it's a slow news day, because it's not. Nothing new, nothing slow about the news right now. But Cohen's lawyer made probably one of the most stupid statements I think I've ever heard. Oh my gosh, this is just bad. This is just horrible. So this is in the Daily Fetched. Listen to this. Listen to this title of this article. Cohen's lawyer argues that her client is credible because he admitted to lying. Wait, what? This is a freaking lawyer that's saying this. Oh, yeah, you can believe my client because my client admitted the fact that he was lying. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, we can believe that. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Cohen. A convicted, called a serial perjurer, but a convicted perjurer for sure. And oh yeah, you can believe him. You can believe him because, he admitted the fact that he was lying. Really. I don't know about you, but I know when I interact with somebody and I find out that they're lying, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's no going back necessarily from that. I will always feel like they're suspicious or like I'm suspicious of what they say and what they do. And what's sad about it is, I've had people and friends and acquaintances who have been salespeople. And as a salesperson, that's kind of sometimes what you do. You bend the truth a little bit in order to get the sale. Well, the problem is knowing that, and whoever that person is, that was doing it, I always felt, even though they were giving me a compliment or they were giving me something, that they were blowing smoke up my ass. I was always feeling that way with those individuals. And so I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this and I'm just going, how in the hell could you even say that with a straight face? Like, oh, my client who lied before, lied on the stand, even admitted on the stand that he freaking stole money from the very organization that he was working for. And what does he do? Oh, yeah, I embezzled, 30,000, 60,000, whatever the number was. I've seen 30, I've seen 60. I don't know. I don't even know how much I stole, but I stole. I stole it. And I'm coming clean right now. This is the God's honest truth. I'm telling you. I stole that money. I did it. Yeah. No. No, I'm not going to believe you just because you said that. The whole Twinkies thing, Fat Alvin Bragg going and putting this guy on the stand was probably one of the worst moves I think I've ever seen in any of them. But, yeah, it just, and then of course, you have all these people, which by the way, there's a lot of people out there who think that they understand the law. So there's a lot of people out in the socials that have been talking about this, obviously, and they keep mentioning the fact they're like, well, there's backup information that says the payments went out. It's there in the records. The payments went out. Well, no shit, the payments went out, people. There's not a serious person. In fact, both sides have totally agreed. There was an NDA. There was a payment. The problem is not whether the payment existed, whether or not the NDA existed. They're not even questioning whether or not Trump bonked Stormy Daniels. Although there is some question as to whether or not he did or if he didn't. But the point is the question on the court's mind is whether or not Trump knowingly and on purpose went and tried to cover up some other nefarious dealings, and that he did it in order to win the election, that he was trying to do election interference with it. I mean, my understanding is the payment didn't even go through until after the election was over. So it's kind of like they made the payment, but they made it after when it would have been important to them. I mean, I would have thought that if it was important for them to cover it up and make sure it was covered before the election, they would have paid him before the election, right? They would have paid the NDA before the election. I don't know, the logic that they are stretching here is just amazing to me. That's it. That's even assuming, because again, okay, that's assuming that the whole ordeal was even, like, again, Bragg bent over backwards, did gymnastics in order to come up with some sort of a felony charge for this. which nobody I think has actually even like outlined what statute he actually broke, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, this is just oh, you want to know how we have some really, really bad administrators or administration officials in our government, especially in the military? I mean, first Miley goes and freaking admits to calling China and telling them, "Oh no, don't worry, we're not going to invade. We're not doing anything. Just calm down. It's okay. Trump's just off his meds." That kind of thing. That kind of a call. That was a not an actual quote for those liberals that are listening or leftists that are listening to me, okay? But anyway, now we have Biden who's trying to tell Israel, "Hey, you can't go into Rafah. Can't do it. Can't go into Rafah. We're going to control your attack on Hamas from over here in the U.S." Well, now guess what? According to the Washington Examiner, Secretary, what is he? Oh, jeez. I should know this right off the top of my head. But apparently Austin has now been, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has now said that Ukraine can't use U.S. weapons to attack Russia. What? We're handing them arms and weapons to fight a war against Russia. But now Austin is telling Ukraine, well, just focus. The focus ought to be on the close fight. The focus has got to be on the close fight. Apparently, he was at a Pentagon briefing yesterday, which was followed by a virtual meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contract Group. He was pressed on a question by Fox News Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin, who cited comments on a ABC News on Sunday story by former Undersecretary of State Victoria Nuland. Griffin asked, Austin said, she said, quote, "I think the attacks are coming directly from over the line in Russia and that those bases ought to be fair game. I think it's time to give the Ukrainians more help hitting the bases inside Russia. Do you agree with that assessment?" Griffin asked Lloyd Austin. Austin replied that his position on the ban has not and will not change. He said, quote, "We've been that way throughout, and that'll be my view going forward. In my view, their focus ought to be on the close fight and making sure that they're servicing those targets that will enable success in the close fight." This is why America loses wars, folks. This is why America loses wars. Because, I've never been in combat. Sean Parnell has been in combat. He's a decorated combat veteran. And he can tell you that the way that we are supposed to win wars is to essentially get the politicians out of it. It's what happened in Vietnam. It's what's happened in almost every single war. The only exception to that, I think, would be maybe the Iraq War, Desert Storm, where Storm and Norman Schwarzkopf just basically said, "I'm doing it," and just went ahead and did whatever he needed to do. But still, the point being is that you can't, politicians being war generals does not work. And that's what Austin is right now, is he is a politician. He's gone out of the battlefield, and now he's in charge as a politician. That's what happens when you become a secretary of whatever. These are the kinds of things that we need to do in moving forward, is making sure that, the president and the Congress decide, hey, we're going to war. We're going to war with that country. Go win. That's it. That's all they should say. Just go win. We'll give you all the money. We'll give you all the ammo. We'll buy all the stuff. We'll do whatever. Just win. That's it. Or at least provide some sort of a defined rules of engagement, but they don't. They're like, no. You can't attack Russia with U.S. weapons. No, you can't do it. You can only use it for defense. That's it. And yet expect Ukraine to win the war. All right. Let's get on to tonight's. It's been a little while since I've done this, so I don't even know which button to press. Let's go ahead and get in on tonight's Pet of the Week. All right, and tonight's Pet of the Week was submitted, and actually it wasn't submitted, unfortunately, it wasn't submitted by a person who tried. They sent me an email, told me the name, and described the animal a little bit, but they didn't bother to send me any photos. So I responded back to that individual, which if you're listening, by the way, I need those photos. I need the attachments. I need them to the email. I didn't actually get any of the attachments. So if you sent me photos, I didn't get them. I'm sorry. But that's okay, because I have another one that is a Pet of the Week. I would like you folks to meet this wonderful little pup, Snoopy. Snoopy is owned by this wonderful little boy. His name is Charlie Brown. Now, Charlie Brown is a little bit of let's just say he's not a very happy fellow, okay? So oftentimes he, has some problems, like for an example, he tries to kick the football on Sundays and he gets it pulled away from him by his friend Lucy. But that's about Charlie. Let's talk about Snoopy. So Snoopy has this great little friend. It's this little bird. And from what I understand, the bird has a name. And the name of the bird is Woodstock. And so it's this little yellow bird, and they kind of hang out together. They go and they do all kinds of things, And what's fun about Snoopy is Snoopy's got this fantastic imagination. He's got this running story that he does where he acts like he's flying a plane on his house, on his doghouse. And his plane is like World War II era, and he is an American flying ace. And his greatest enemy, or maybe it's World War I. It's World War I. Sorry, not World War II. But World War I era plane. It's a biplane, I think. And he flies and he goes after the just diabolical Red Baron. And he has a lot of fun with that. I mean, I've actually even wondered if he's really like imagining it, because sometimes his doghouse comes back and it's got holes in it. But then the next time I see the doghouse, they're not there. So I don't know if it's just an optical illusion or what the situation is. But Snoopy he's got such character. He can go through and he can make dinners, and he can create things like Thanksgiving dinners, and he does things for Christmas, and he's just all over the place. But Snoopy, you're the best. And I'm sure Charlie Brown likes you a lot, because he certainly loves to feed you. Anyway. Oh, and that's tonight's Pet of the Week. So do me a favor, if you would like to see your pet on Pet of the Week, I highly recommend that you send me photos or videos or both. Okay. You can send them to me at the email address fans@americanperspective.online. That's fans, FANS, at americanperspective.online. And that, my friends, is the end of the program. If you are on Rumble, please do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button and make sure that you do that before you leave, because that helps me and this video grow as well as if you are of mind to, go ahead and drop me a comment. I'll try and respond, but you can drop me a comment. That would be awesome. And if you're not on Rumble, go to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It's free, and sign up by following the American Perspective channel. We will see you guys tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening. Good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.